Hello, my name is Timothy Collier. Today is June 23rd, 2026. I'm basically giving an account of what happened to me when I was pulled over for a traffic stop today. I was essentially, uh, I was in Lancaster County, Nebraska, and I was heading to Iowa to possibly see some friends and take care of a couple of things before I headed back to North Carolina. At about maybe somewhere between 245 to 250, I went past a cop SUV, and when I went past the cop SUV, I noticed that they began to pull out, and from what I could see, it appeared clearly to me that they were following me from a distance from the right lane as I was in the middle lane. They stayed like that for a while. I kept looking in my rearview mirror and noticed that they didn't try to go around, and they stayed right near me but in a different lane. At some point, they got right behind the vehicle that was behind me. The vehicle behind me must have felt a certain way and decided to get over. And when I realized that they were still behind me and was following specifically behind me, I decided to get off on the next exit to prove that they were following me. And when I got off on the exit, they basically pulled me over and told me that they pulled me over because I went on the faded lines and wasn't staying in the dotted lines when I got off the exit. I blatantly made it clear to the officers that I had gone to California. Basically, I had a job that was lined up. Things didn't work out, and I was making my way back to North Carolina. I also made it very clear to them that I was nervous because I've been pulled over numerous times in the Midwest between these states, specifically Nebraska and Iowa, for no reason. I even informed that one specific time that I recall was when an unidentified vehicle, which after them asking me questions, they realized was, I believe, a minivan, a white minivan, if I'm not mistaken, kept following me and kept riding me like it wanted me to speed. And I wouldn't speed. I made it stay behind me. Eventually, I just got sick of it and decided to get over. When I got over, they pulled me over, asked me for my driver's license, told me and the person with me to get out of my vehicle, and proceeded to rip everything out of the vehicle. I asked them why I was stopped. They never answered my question. When they didn't find anything in the vehicle, they told me that I was free to go and didn't even put anything in the vehicle, basically pulled off and left. I made it very clear to them that I was uncomfortable with this situation because it's happened to me before. They asked me the question, oh, so you've done a lot of road trips? Yes, I've done a lot of road trips because I've done road trips with friends. I've been in relationships where we've taken road trips to go certain places. Yes, I travel, and I travel by car. After that, they informed me that they were trying to reach dispatch, but dispatch hadn't gotten to them or didn't get the response or something. They didn't get that they were reaching out to them. So they asked me to get out of my car and to basically go to their car. I didn't understand at that moment that they wanted me to sit in their car. And when I got out the car, to my surprise, there's now an officer that I didn't recall seeing. There was only two officers I remember seeing. One of which the badge number was 297. And this new police officer is in camo like he's military, but he's clearly a cop. They asked me in the car if I had anything on them. I told them that I had mace, a taser, and a knife. And the response from the female cop, which I believe may be 297, basically said to me, well, that makes sense. You've been traveling and you've probably been staying at rest areas and you're by yourself. And I said, that's correct. I told them the things that I had on me, and they told me that they wanted me to give them to them and that they would give them back to me. When I went to the vehicle, I got in, and then I noticed that the camo cop walks up to my car with a German Shepherd, does something weird, has him sit, and then says, good boy. They come to me and tell me that the dog basically just identified that I had drugs in the car. And I said, no, I don't have any drugs in the car. And then I thought about it and I said, well, I do have one bag where there may be CBD in it. And I blatantly said to them, I don't smoke anymore. I have FBI clearance in 3 states and I was working on a 4th one. That's not me, but I'll go check. Maybe that's what it is. You don't have to search my car. That's what it is. I handed it to them and they told me they still had to search my car. Then the officer that was in camo basically said, do you have coke or anything like that in the car? And I'm looking at him like, I just gave you what I had and made it very clear to you that it's CBD. What makes you think I would have coke? Because I'm skinny? I don't understand. They ripped everything out of my car, put the hood of my car up, like checking my engine, went all under my car, and had me basically as a spectacle, while other random people getting off on the exit decided to be nosy and create a line watching what was happening to me as I'm walking through a so-called meadow with my dog. After them going through my vehicle, they told me that I could come back, and they blatantly said to me, we're sorry we couldn't put your things back the way that you had them. Then they said, but you really were good at this, like you're a Rubik princess. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care how any of those police officers identified. You're on the clock and you've gone through all of my stuff, which means that you're calling me that because you know that I'm openly gay. And I have a problem with you calling me a princess because, in my opinion, nothing that I'm wearing, this is what I wore today minus a hoodie, I mean, I got my braids, identifies that I'm a woman or that I identify as a woman. So what makes you think that I want a female or a man that I don't know at all to call me a Rubik princess and think that that was appropriate? I found it highly disrespectful and derogatory. With that being said, I chose to ignore it and decided to say, yes, I've worked in the storage industry for a while, and that's how I did it. And they literally said, so you played Tetris? No, I suck at Tetris. I learned it from my job. That's where I learned it from, working in North Carolina in the storage industry. I learned a lot of things. With that being said, they also said to me that the test for THC came back that there was high levels of THC. So I went on my phone and blatantly pulled out the photos of the CBD packaging, and their response to me was, maybe they're not putting in the bag what they're saying they did. And I said, well, then you need to contact the actual place I brought it from if that was the case, because I brought it from a gas station, not from any type of store, and it's hemp. There's no way that they put something different in it. It's nothing but CBD. I'm gonna be honest and say that for me, in my opinion, the test looked crusty and like it had been used before. Here's what I will say, and I don't feel bad for saying this at all. I have had a retired cop who has worked in the Midwest blatantly tell me that officers will run their speed guns when someone's speeding, and instead of clearing it, because they have to be cleared, if you don't clear them, they will black out or go to zero, and the next person that you try to catch for speeding, their speed will identify as what the previous person did, even if the person that just went past you didn't speed. So since I'm privy to the fact that officers do interesting things like this in the Midwest, I wouldn't be surprised if you're giving me a test that you used for somebody else. Now, what I do know is that CBD does have traces of THC in it, but not enough for it to actually read as you trying to say I had marijuana. I did not have marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. I smoke CBD, and I don't even smoke CBD at the current moment because I'm working with kids, and that's where I draw the line. And I made it very clear to them that it was old stuff in a bag that I haven't been in I don't know how long. I didn't go through the bag. I stuffed the bag in my car and kept it moving. So you caught some old stuff that I have. I reiterated to them that I was willing to take a drug test to prove that I'm not smoking, and they just looked at me. Now, I feel like because I asked for my phone, and I think they know that I was recording on my phone, that their tune kind of changed when they didn't find anything in my car, as I told them they wouldn't. And they knew that I was recording because they wanted to talk about where I had FBI clearance, the type of work that I do, kept telling me how adorable my dog was, how well I take care of her because she has so many stuffed animals and a good temper. That's not what you pulled me over for. I don't want to hear any of this. It's too late to try to be sweet and nice to me when I blatantly told you, like, seriously, I already know you pulled me over because you thought I was a drug mule, and I blatantly told you that I'm not. What's also interesting is that I took the moment to search things, and from what my understanding is and what I read, CBD is actually legal in Nebraska. And one of the things that they told me when they gave me my options at the end was that technically, because it tested higher, that technically because it was less than an ounce, let me be very clear, it was 2 pre-rolls and 2 vapes that blatantly say hemp doctor on them. So how are they marijuana if they say hemp doctor on them? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anywho, with that being said, the options were to basically get fined for it or to throw it out. And I blatantly looked at them and said, hand it to me. I'll throw it out right in front of you. Oh, no, you don't have to do that. We'll take care of it, and we don't want you to litter. Okay. So my response to them before I gave them an answer was, I'm a North Carolina resident. My driver's license states that. So does the registration for my car. Registration insurance was never asked for. Let me be very clear on that. There was nothing from my understanding that was probable cause, and this was not a normal traffic stop. If it was a normal traffic stop, they should have asked me for my driver's license, my insurance, and my registration. And the only thing they asked me for was my driver's license. What probable cause did you have to pull me over? I'm not inebriated. My car doesn't smell like any drugs. So why exactly did you send out a drug dog to check my vehicle? I'm also really upset to learn through my research that CBD is legal in Nebraska as well as North Carolina. So why would you tell me that it was illegal in Nebraska if it actually is? And then try to make it seem like you're doing me a favor by telling me you'll just let me go and pretty much let you keep it. This to me is exactly what has happened to me numerous times when I lived in the Midwest in my 20s. And I think that this needs to be seen. And I think other people need to understand that when African Americans, especially African American men, get pulled over in the Midwest, they're not treated the same way that they're treated when they get pulled over in other areas of the country. Every time a black man gets pulled over in the Midwest, they're always getting pulled over because you just assume that we're all drug mules, or drug addicts. I'm a college graduate. You found my degree in the trunk of my car, and I told you I had FBI clearance in 3 states and was working on a 4th one in California. What part of that makes you think that I'm a drug mule or I'm doing anything illegal? I have FBI clearance to maintain. Do you understand that? FBI clearance to maintain. I just think that it's important for us to realize that we've come so far in America and still haven't come far enough. What was done to me today was highly unprofessional, and there was no justification for why they did it. Nothing about this traffic stop was normal or by the book. And I want everyone to be aware of this, and to be aware that this isn't the first time that this has happened to me in 20 years. This is why I moved out of the Midwest, is because I got tired of this. I got tired of every time I got pulled over, me thinking that I'm gonna die today, or get slammed into the pavement. I'll also tell you another story about when I had one drink with dinner with my friend, was at my friend's house for 2 hours, got pulled over by a cop telling me that, well, I can smell alcohol in you. Okay, well, breathalyze me then, because I had the drink 2 hours ago. I'm fine. Do you know that they called a whole bunch of other cops and had me do the sobriety test in front of them? But as I did it, all of the cops that are much bigger than me are literally making the circle smaller and smaller as I'm doing the sobriety test. Like they're trying to get me to fail so that they can lock me up. And I'm on dialysis. So I'm not drinking like that because I can't. And to be truthfully honest, when you're on dialysis and you drink a whole bunch of alcohol or anything, it shows up in your face. My face looked the way that it does now. So if I was drunk or inebriated to the point that you were trying to say, it'd be written all over my face. I'm just saying. This type of stuff needs to stop. I'm tired of every time I get pulled over in the Midwest, I'm wondering, is this the last day that I get to live, or is this the last that I get to be free? I don't like thinking that every time I get pulled over, if they really don't find something, they're just gonna plant something, which is exactly why I did the video earlier. I want this to stop, and I want to stop being the person that you think it's okay to do it to. Not every black man in the United States is a thug or a drug dealer. And not every drug dealer or thug wants to be that for the rest of their life. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say something that I don't like saying, but it's true. Sometimes as an African American, you gotta do things you don't want to do to get ahead because we don't get the same options that the other people in this country get. We don't get to pursue the same things that other people pursue. So we have to make roads and pave them that were never going to be there if we didn't. 297, you know you was wrong. And the people that were with you were wrong too. And I want this to be heard so that everybody is aware that badge number 297 is going to do something like this if you're the wrong color. Thank you so much for your time.